I know you're only what 5 years removed from high school. Like, what kind of advice would you give to your 16-year-old self?
Um, don't be afraid to do something just because you don't think you look good enough doing it.
Mm.
Um, and don't think you're gonna look exactly like somebody else when you're doing something. That's really vague, but you're gonna make every movement yourself your own. So don't worry about being completely perfect with another person.
Yeah, it sounds like not comparing yourself. So like a lot of people definitely get stuck in the comparison trap, especially with social media. Like they see these other beast dancers with high production value, like and the cameraman and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like how do you deal with the comparison trap?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I fall into it constantly, all the time. I'm always comparing myself, and I keep trying to tell myself not to. There's one thing to grow from comparison, and there's one thing to just self-loathe from comparison. Um,
Mm.
so it's really about just figuring out what you can actually take from another person and learn, rather than bash on yourself or bash on the other person for comparing yourself.
Mm.
Um, I try to look at dance videos for inspiration and less for like, oh, I don't do this right and they're doing it right. Um,
Mm.
Rather than just like, oh, maybe I should move my foot like them kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, try and
For
learn rather than.
Yeah, because it's like I agree because it's easy to be like, oh, you look at them like, oh, I suck, or like, oh, what can I kind of extract the lessons?
Mhm.
Because it's easy. I love how you just put it so well in terms of like for
Thank you.
learning and then loathing because it's easy because it's similar in what I call I think the replay. Like it's not so much comparison trap, but it's more like comparing what you did versus what you can be. Like
Yeah.
this is something I do when I felt triggered and I acted a certain way, and you do your best like for and in those moments. But what I often do when I find myself triggered, like much later, and I've calmed down, is I do a replay of like how like of the situation, and so most people replay the situation to self-loathe, like, oh, why the fuck did I do that? I should have said this and all that stuff. But
Hmm.
like I do it and replay it similar to how athletes review game tape.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, I did this, I said this, like, and I know I could do better. So what can I do next time? And
Hmm.
then obviously the hard part is acting on it when you're triggered, because it's so like when you're triggered, people go like into the natural tendencies of not serving them. But yeah, that's kind of like that comparison in
Yeah.
regards to the comparison trap.